Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I got a little stock version, if you will. Raiders stock up, stock down, entering their Week 5 matchup going up against the Green Bay Packers. This is a big game. It's Monday Night Football. All eyes are going to be on the silver and black. So what I decided to do here is just tell you some people that as it stands right now, if they were a stock, it's either going to go up or it's about to go down. Let's go to the quarterback position, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo, and his stock is up. And the only reason why it's up is because, well, Josh McDaniels named him the starter in Week 5 against the Green Bay Packers. I know I have asked y'all for a long time, would you roll with Aiden O'Connell? Would you roll with the veteran Jimmy G? They're deciding to roll with Jimmy G, so for that reason, the stock is going to go up. The other reason why I believe that the stock could go up here for Garoppolo is because the next 3 games are easier opponents for the silver and black. You have a shot to beat the Green Bay Packers. It's possible, right? Like, if Green Bay, who's 2-2 right now, if the New Orleans Saints didn't lose Derek Carr, I don't know if they would have won that game. You would have been going up against the 1-3 potentially Green Bay Packer team. Then you got the 1-3 New England Patriots who are going to be without Matthew Judon and have maybe even more problems at the quarterback position. And then the worst team in the NFL right now, the Chicago Bears, in Week 7. If Garoppolo can put together 3 solid games, doesn't turn the ball over, the Raiders have a shot to win their next 3. And if you go to get the back to 4-3, stock is up again. Let's go to the next player here. It's Hunter Renfro, and his stock is down. Unfortunately for Renfro, he's not really getting used, but let me just say this. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to see more from Hunter, but watch the film. Watch the tape. Hunter Renfro is not playing good football right now. For people that like PFF grades, he is rated the 111th wide receiver out of 113. His routes aren't as crisp. He looks disinterested. And I can also sit up here and say, well, you know what? I get it. Maybe he's disinterested because he's not getting the amount of run that he once did. But the Hunter Renfro that you saw 2 years ago, compared to the Hunter Renfro that you see now, I'm sitting up here saying I'm a big Renfro supporter. It does not quite look the same. I also got to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Panda Supps, for always showing out for us here. And if you want to get hooked up with them, use code FIREJOSH for 25% off at pandasupps.com. Speaking of Fire Josh, if you want the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels, give me some fire emojis down below for those watching live, but also hit that subscribe button. I pledge to you this. I pledge to you that you will not find another Raiders host out there on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram that is trying harder to have the nation's voice heard because Raider Nation wants the clown gone, and I'm going to do everything in my power to see if we can make it happen. I also got to give a shout-out to some people here that are part of the Noti Gang. Shout out to Raider Roger, Catch22, Bruh, El Raider 88, T-Champ, and Steel Cage Savage. This season has got some ups and downs, but I know that Raider Nation will always be here, and I appreciate that. If you want to see your name on a future show, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and try to be one of the first 5 people that comments on my videos. Let's go to the next one here. Davante Adams' stock is up. In fact, when Davante Adams had Jimmy Garoppolo, his stats were a lot better. Garoppolo continually targeted Davante. Seems like that they had a little bit, maybe a better of a connection compared to Aiden O'Connell because O'Connell missed Davante definitely on 1-2 routes, but Jimmy G was looking at Davante's way almost too much. And, I say almost too much, and I kind of roll my eyes at myself because, if I had Davante Adams on my team, I would also look to target him as much as humanly possible. But I do think when you have 2 veterans who can probably get on the same page, maybe a little bit quicker than a rookie, the stock is up for Davante, but I don't know if Davante's stock has ever gone down. I know I just mentioned Panda Supps, but they are today's show sponsor. Again, it is code FIREJOSH for 25% off at pandasupps.com. Let's go to the next one here. Rolling in, it's Jermaine Eluemunor, and his stock is down. Jermaine, you're my guy. You know that, but it was a really, really rough football game this past week against the Los Angeles Chargers. Maybe one of the most other frustrating things was McDaniels saying that he tried everything humanly possible to stop Khalil Mack, who had 6 sacks. However, according to Next Gen Stats, Khalil Mack was only double-teamed twice, and I know that you might not always want to have to double-team an edge rusher because it opens up something else, But, if you need to be able to protect your rookie quarterback, you got to be able to do what makes the most sense. Coming off a game as bad as what Jermaine had, there's some people out there that want the Raiders to start Thayer Munford, who, when he's had opportunities, has played halfway decent. Now, to me, I would never bench Jermaine Eluemunor. If anything, I would try to kick him to another position, maybe as a guard. But here's my question to you. If you could pick a right tackle Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, would you go with Jermaine Eluemunor, who's had some costly penalties, had a really bad game last week, has been probably the worst offensive lineman as it stands right now here on the silver and black team? Or would you go with Thayer Munford, the second-year guy, seventh rounder? Would you go with Thayer Munford? Would you go with Jermaine Eluemunor, J.E. for Eluemunor, T.M. for Thayer Munford? Me personally, I like the idea of having Munford get some reps down the road, but Jermaine Eluemunor is still the superior offensive lineman. He is still the superior right tackle, in my personal opinion. And yes, he's had some ups and downs, no doubt about it. But the Raiders have a better shot at winning football games with Jermaine Eluemunor than they do Thayer Munford. If the Raiders turn into this in terms of they're just throwing the season away and they go into tank mode and they want to get more reps than out of Munford, that's when you go and you start Munford. If you're still trying to win games, though, it's with Jermaine Eluemunor. The final player is Josh Jacobs, and his stock is going down. The fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be back under center means to me that teams are going to be stacking the box just like that they were in the first 3 weeks of the season. Yes, they still stacked the box against Aiden O'Connell, but it wasn't nearly as much. And you saw Josh Jacobs kind of get it going a little bit last week against the Chargers. 25 touches, 139 yards of total offense, and a touchdown compared to the weeks prior to that where he just couldn't get anything going. And guess what? I think it's going to happen again. My fantasy team doesn't want it to happen again, but when you have a quarterback that can't throw the football past 40 yards, when you have an offense, because their quarterback's limitations can really only work with 20 yards, you're going up against red zone stacks every single time you call hike. And for that reason, it's stocked down for Josh Jacobs. I mean, look at these total yards right here throughout the season. In week 1, he had 71. In week 2, he had 49. Week 3, 80. Week 4, that was the 139 game with Aiden O'Connell. I don't anticipate you're going to see something like we did in Buffalo. What I'm really hoping McDaniels does is he goes, okay, if we can't run the ball between the tackles right now with our offensive line, maybe we decide to throw the ball to him a little bit more like they did last week. Either way, you need to get the ball in your playmakers' hands, and there's no denying that Josh Jacobs is an absolute baller. Now, Raider Nation, today's show is again presented by Panda Supps, and I love what they have for the nation, and I love Panda because they get the nation probably better than any sponsor I have here. Use code FIREJOSH for 25% off at pandasupps.com. That link's going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. But me personally, I love their protein. I think it is a extremely high quality. Panda Supps Fuel is the finest multi-phase premium blended protein to ever hit the market, using premium ingredients with a plethora of trademarked ingredients backed by studies and clinical research. Panda will keep you safe from false claims and empty promises. So get ready to get fueled for hours with our deliciously scrumptious powder containing 30 grams of protein per scoop, only 4 grams of carbs, 2 grams of sugar, and 140 calories. They also have this awesome probiotic blend, which I personally need for me, especially when I do try to eat as much protein, so, I don't stink so bad. Also, though, they have fat burners, which I do personally use on a weekly basis. And if you don't know what they are, Panda Cups Extreme Thermogenic is an advanced multi-stage fat burner that helps boost metabolism, curb your appetite, and give you superior focus and loads of energy without the crash. With no proprietary blend, Panda Cuts is packed with some of the best trademarked ingredients in the industry, backed by science. So again, use code FIREJOSH, I think we can all remember that, for 25% off at pandasupps.com. Shout out to them for hooking up the nation. Let's keep this stock up, stock down, rolling here. And now we're going to go to the defensive side of the football. First guy, Maxx Crosby. His stock is always up. In fact, his stock might as well be like Amazon, where that thing is always going to be worth some money. It's Apple, it's Google. Keep that thing going to the stars because he is the most underappreciated player in the NFL. He is the best defender you got on your team. He is the face of this franchise, and he continues to show every single day that he's that guy. He's him, and he's not going anywhere. I know there's some people out there saying, oh, the Raiders could trade him. No. the Raiders aren't trading Maxx Crosby. And if anybody's out there pushing that narrative that they might, that they could, that they will, you can send them this video, or you can just send them to me at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's go to the next player. It's at the defensive tackle group, Jerry Tillery. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to know where we're going with this one. His stock is down, down, down. It's so far down, I don't even know what to even think of it. Jerry Tillery's late hit against Justin Herbert got him thrown out, which just goes to show that Tillery is still a knucklehead like he's always been, and I can't wrap my mind around the idea of why the Raiders even brought him back. Like, he was terrible to finish last season. Yeah, he was good in his first few games, but when you go back and you look at every single metric, Tillery sucked at the end of last season, and now you bring him onto this team when you're supposed to have the right guys do certain things, and he still continually sucks. Like, he tried to decapitate Herbert because he wanted the revenge game. He's going up against his old team, and I'm glad they threw him out of the game. If somebody would have hit my quarterback like that, believe me, I can't stand the idea of having Jimmy Garoppolo behind center right now. If somebody would have hit Aiden O'Connell like that, hell, if somebody would hit Derek Carr like that last season, I would have said, get him the hell out of the game. Jerry Tillery is a bum. He stinks at football, and I hope the Raiders cut him. And that's how much I'm done with Jerry Tillery. That guy has no business repping silver and black. Get him off the field. Play some of your younger guys, because Tillery, he ain't it. Let's go to the next player here. Trevon Moehrig, stock up. Let's freaking go, man. I love the idea that Moehrig is coming off the best game of his entire career. He was one of the only Raiders players last week to score a elite grade according to PFF. He had an over 90 overall grade, and he's been playing a lot better, which kind of makes me laugh because he's got a club on his hand now. He's been reading the field better. He's been playing zone better. He's been hitting guys better. He would have had an interception if it wasn't for that club on his hand, because he had an opportunity back in the end zone, jumped the route really well. But Moehrig is starting to play the way that I think we were hoping that he was going to end up playing. And if he keeps playing the way that he is, the Raiders found their safety. And God, I hope that the Raiders found their safety. How about this, though? Anytime you talk about stock up, stock down, there's always players that when their stock goes down, maybe another guy deserves a little bit more playing time. So I want you to get in the comments right now, and I want you to name a player that deserves more playing time. For me personally, one player that I believe deserves more time is Luke Masterson. Guy's been flying all over the football field, been playing a lot better. And there's one guy coming up here on the show that, unfortunately, hasn't been playing as well, which is why I want to see Masterson on the field just a little bit more. Let's go back to defensive tackle here. Let's talk about John Jenkins, because his stock is up. The 34-year-old veteran, the man who used to work with Rob Leonard down with the Miami Dolphins. Like, he's the best defensive tackle this team has right now. And I don't want to say it's not close, but man, oh man, the guy that I have the most faith in is John frickin' Jenkins, a defensive tackle that got beat by Buddy Ryan this summer doing a lap around the field. Jenkins is the best player on this defensive tackle group, which maybe isn't saying much, but he deserves more playing time. He deserves to start. He deserves to get his reps out there. Like, man, oh man, oh man, I want to see more of John Jenkins, and I don't know if I ever thought I'd say that. Then the final player here, stock down, which kind of breaks my heart a little bit because he was trending in the right direction, but over the past 3 weeks, his performances have gotten worse, and then this past game against the Chargers was just downright disgraceful. It's Davante Deablo at linebacker. Davante, I think he missed 3 or 4 tackles. I got to go back and watch the tape again. I know for a fact he missed 3 tackles, though, in this Chargers game. And week 1, he comes out, he's covering, he's looking good. Maybe it's just because the Denver Broncos aren't very good. Was not good against Buffalo, though nobody was, so throw that game out. Against Pittsburgh Steelers, wasn't good. Now go up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Really wasn't good in that game either. His stock continues to go down and down, and I just get worried that we're never going to find a place for Davante Deablo, which is frustrating because he's got the talent. He just needs to be able to put it together. So one more time here. Here is my stock up, stock down. Jimmy Garoppolo, Hunter Renfrow, Davante Adams, Jermaine Eluemunor, Josh Jacobs, 3 stocks down, 2 are up. And then on the next graphic here on defense, 2 down, 3 up. And you're right. C2E says Deablo missed the sack, which was ludicrous. That sack also, which I'm glad you brought it up, that also was a back-breaking style of play that Divine, let's just be able to face it, needs to be able to clean it up, needs to be able to get it together. If you made it this far in the video, shout out to y'all. Make sure you hit me up on Instagram. make sure you hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365.